Hi, my name is Gela. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want us to talk about things that happened yesterday first before we go to yesterday, which was the 17th of March 2026. We're talking about the 17th on this video, okay? So yesterday, something very dangerous happened in court. No shouting, no drama, something worse. A document that doesn't make sense, a timeline that doesn't match, and a witness that is supposed, or that the state is trying to make sure with the answers that they are tricking him with, he is collapsing his own credibility. This could change everything in the sense of Meyiwa made a trial, okay? Let's start here. The court asked, in court, a simple question was asked: where is Bindancy? Where is the document with my face on it? Because everyone knows standard employment or standard employment. Okay, for the mines, apparently. Let me not say everyone. At the mines, they know that the records, the standard employment records, they always include your photo, your details, your full identification, layout. But what was presented, there was no photo, missing structure, incomplete format. And then suddenly a new version appears later. And this is where it gets dangerous. When a document appears late, looks different, and doesn't match a standard format, it creates suspicion of editing or reconstruction. And in court, that's deadly. Ne? That is very deadly. Now, this is where things get exposed. The witness is telling us that they normally have a form that brings in information like next of kin, personal details, HR records. That information is protected under the Protection of Personal Information Act for PIA. And more importantly, that information does not go underground. Now, Ubaloyi was bringing a document that is used in the shaft. So that's why Undanzi was questioning all of this. Now, the real system is like this. There are two separate systems: HR file, personal info, family contacts, emergency data, and then there is a shaft, operational record, medical clearance, work fitness, access approval. Now, the state mixed them. Ubaloyi took HR data and presented it as operational evidence. Now, in court, that translates to you don't understand the system or you are misleading the court. That's what either way, Undanzi was like, I will put it just bluntly like that. And I was so happy when he did that. I do not want to lie. That alone goes to one thing when it comes to Ubaloyi. In any competent court, that alone goes to credibility damage for the state. Because what the hell was that? What was going on there? And then comes the next move. The next move, Ubaloyi somehow went back to the cell phone records. The state led by Baloyi is trying to link numbers, build a timeline, show consistency. But here is the problem when it comes to that. They bring in numbers from different years, different periods, without proving continuous use ownership at the time. That's a huge mistake. I don't think they realize, because a number in 2019, proof of possession during a crime, because the crime happened in 2014 and the defense sees it immediately. Because chances are there was SIM card change, phone change, people share numbers. There's a lot of things. The result of that, the entire evidence becomes weak, questionable, easily challenged. I don't know why Ubaloyi keeps going back and forth when it comes to that. I am honestly not sure what is his angle when it comes to that. What is he hoping to gain when it comes to that? But maybe he knows his strategy. Now, here is the biggest problem of all. The state is supposed to prove who was at the crime scene, who did what, how it happened. But instead, they are jumping between documents, HR systems, phone numbers, no clear story. Now, the narrative that they gave out in fact, this is what happened back in 2020, guys. They said, Ubaloyi, no, not Ubaloyi, the state, when they reported in the media, initially, about the Senzo Meyiwa case, they said there's a breakthrough, and then they said men have been arrested across South Africa. In fact, they said some in KZN, some in Gauteng. When they were busy telling us that as the country in that media conference, they never said 3 men were already in prison. 2 men were, one was arrested in Gauteng, and the other one was arrested in Rustenburg, which is Northwest. And the other men, in the 3 men that were in prison, they did not tell us the other man is in Kalakabusha prison in KZN. They did not tell us the other 2. The other one is at Johannesburg, Sun City prison. And the other one is in Louis-Kop prison. They never told us these details. They never told us. Now, they moved as if they have this watertight case. Everything is set. It's going to be 1-2-1-2. And then we also heard in the interviews, Ukherenel was busy telling the country, we are still going to make more arrests. I'm expecting more arrests. The mastermind, we were like, waiting. Yeah, the Afiki day of reckoning, because when the guys appeared in court the first day, they were like, Asikalis. One thing that we are not going to do is to enter that dock, because someone needs to tell us, what are we doing here? South Africans, same day, were like, Ayiko na yinto, Ayiko. And the accused made something very different that has never been done by any of the accused people in the country, in fact, in the world, refusing to enter the dock. I think that was the first time we saw that in South Africa. If it has ever happened before, I don't know. Let me put it that way. But that was the first time we see such in our country. That was the first time. Now, imagine from then to today, they are still fighting for their freedom when it comes to the Senzo Meyiwa case, because they are like, we know nothing about his death. We did not kill Senzo. Some of them don't even know Senzo. Some of them don't even watch soccer. So they don't even know what you're talking about when you're talking about Senzo. Do you understand? So now, it is quite clear Ubaloyi did not fumble something that was not fumbled, that was not going to be unfunded, whatever is in case. But ufamblisha something that was already fumbled by the first people that were doing whatever, the media circus there. And then the circus that was done there. And then now the police brought it to him, and he became part of the nonsense. How? Because when they brought it to him, before they went on the news, they sat down with him. What was he seeing? When he was looking at the case, because right now he's busy scrambling, he's busy grasping at straws. He doesn't know what to do. He is acting as if someone is like, you are going to finish this. You are going to finish this. Make sure these guys go down. He is acting like someone is doing that at him. It's shocking to say the least. It's quite embarrassing also. And wow. Oh, wow. What a wow. Now, and in law, if your story is not clear, the court cannot convict. So now I'm one of those people that are sitting and asking myself, no matter how rude Rata is, but no matter how many times he rules in favor of Baloyi, but which evidence is he going to use to convict the accused? Which evidence is he going to use to convict the accused? Lutho Gesana. There is nothing that he can use against the accused. Because now what we are looking at, what we saw was not just a mistake from Baloyi's side, it was a pattern of things that he has been doing in this courtroom. Questionable documents, misuse of personal records, weak evidence, and there is absolutely nothing that makes sense, and there's absolutely nothing that works for him. And when you combine all of that, you don't get proof. You get reasonable doubt. That's it. Everything that he's been trying, it gives nothing but reasonable doubt. And if this continues, the case against the accused in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial may not collapse in one moment. It may collapse slowly, piece by piece, right in front of the court. That's what's happening now. What are your thoughts when it comes to this? Let's talk in the comment section. I want to hear your views. Thank you so much. I will see you on our next video. Bye-bye.